In this lesson, we're going to continue sketching out our 2D avatar by adding facial elements based off of our photo reference. So let's go ahead and dive right back in. So we're at a point now where I'm really happy with how the overall shape and blocking for our sketch has come out. Again, we're kind of going for a stylistic rendition of our goofy looking guy over here. And as I mentioned in the previous lesson, he kind of has like this light bulb shaped head, which is something I think we really played up nicely. So we're ready to begin adding in just all his different really animated facial elements that he seems to have over here. So making sure that we're clicked on our tab for our canvas window here, let's have a look at our layers panel before we go further. You'll notice that I've added a new layer which I've titled Sketch. So this is the layer we'll begin adding all those facial elements onto. And below it on our sketch blocking layer, with that selected, let's go ahead and take the opacity down to around 50%. And this just allows me to differentiate between the information that I'm adding on my sketch layer and my sketch blocking layer. So let's go ahead and zoom in and get started on the nose. Now, as I mentioned in the previous lesson, he has a pretty prominent nose, definitely up here in the bridge of the nose and kind of down on the bottom. Now you may have noticed that his head is tilted slightly towards the screen right. And so I'm going to try and straighten out a few things with the nose and with the ears. I'd like to be able to see more of this ear over here. Now this isn't something you just absolutely have to do, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm thinking about how this avatar is going to read at a small size. I don't want any kind of facial elements, any kind of elements at all to be confusing, to be read as visually confusing. So we're just going to straighten out a few things. So I'm just looking at his nose and I'm trying to get just an overall feel for kind of how it might look straightened out. He's got some prominent bumps, especially he's got a very prominent bridge of the nose. So just kind of putting that into account. And that's starting to feel pretty nice. Let's go ahead and work our way down to this smile. I think this smile that he has is classic. I think it's got a lot of character to it. Just the way he's got it kind of pushed in, just like he has his head kind of pushed into his neck, I feel like he's got this mouth also somehow pushed inward, especially at the corners, which is what is also giving us these very prominent smile lines. That's feeling pretty nice, just working in these prominent smile lines that he has here. Now, one thing we're going to be mindful of is we're not going to work in every single wrinkle on his head, just because, again, as we get a lot of these wrinkles start to run together, and if we draw too many, they're going to kind of appear muddy and muddled when we shrink down this avatar. Now, I'm about to add in the tongue, and I'm thinking I may not want to show it exactly the way he has it. So let's go ahead and click on the tab for this window right here. And just looking at it shrunken down, I don't know if that registers well at a small size. Again, this avatar is probably going to be shrunken down maybe around 1 inch by 1 inch. So we're keeping that in mind, and we may change up and simplify a few things. So I'm kind of giving him a more simplified tongue there. Just working in these little smile lines. Now, one thing I may not have mentioned in the previous lesson is if you already know kind of the overall platform in which your avatar, your 2D avatar will be incorporated into, you may want to double check and just see if there are any specific height or width restrictions. That might help you just in sketching and blocking out your avatar as a whole. And so we're assuming that this avatar will probably be shrunk down to about 1 inch by 1 inch. So I'm kind of defining these cheek areas a little further, just coming around here. And just the way his neck kind of rolls into his shirt. Now, we've got everything kind of tapering down, so we're making some adjustments, tapering down into his smaller torso. Again, we made this bust or this torso a lot smaller because the focus is on the head. That's where all the main expression is going to really be received, and so we don't want the torso fighting for attention. It's just really there just to support his head. So just kind of coming around, working around this collar. I've worked in the chin there. May work in an extra line here just to show that his head is being kind of pushed inward, kind of being pulled into his neck. Let's go ahead and zoom out at this point just to see how everything is looking so far. And I'm feeling like that's looking pretty good. I think we're on the right track as far as overall placement of things. Let's go ahead and work on these glasses real quick. I'm just going to rough them in a little more clearly, just so we can kind of see how this area right over the bridge of the nose kind of looks. And just kind of working it all the way around. Let's go ahead and focus on these ears. Now, he doesn't have particularly large ears, but this might be an opportunity for us to kind of balance out the overall avatar. I think if we gave him some larger ears, it may add to his character a little bit and just kind of balance out everything. Again, I'm not going to make his eyes super large and cartoony, so maybe this is an opportunity to go ahead and balance that out by making the ears larger. And again, I want to be able to see more of this ear over here on the screen right. So you'll notice I'm just kind of thinking about turning a few things more towards the viewers. That way, if this guy has some friends that maybe he's playing against online, and if they happen to know him and they can just look at this avatar and immediately know, hey, that's him. I know that guy. So we're just going around looking for any kind of visual elements on this guy's head to really complement his character. So he's kind of got this zigzag line for his hairline. He's got his comb over. He's rocking out that comb over. So we definitely want to get that in there. And again, he's got this light bulb shaped head. So I'm kind of bringing out the line work for kind of these sketch lines for the hair up a little bit higher over that blocking I had for the overall head shape, just to really push that. That's feeling really nice. I'm really liking where this is going. Let's go ahead and focus on his eyes. Now the eyes, convey a lot of energy, a lot of expression. And so he's pretty alert in this photo. He kind of has this wide-eyed stare. Not really sure who or what he's staring at, but he's very enthusiastic. So I'm just trying to kind of capture that in the overall eye shape. I don't want any of the eyelids to be covering his pupils at all. It's just kind of touching right at the top. We don't want him to appear, sleepy or anything like that. So just kind of roughing that in. Not going to get too many lines around the eyes. Again, just kind of keeping it simple. And let's go ahead and work in his eyebrows. The eyebrows are really a vehicle that help carry those eyes' emotions. So his eyes are kind of arched upward. He's kind of got this hey kind of look. So just working that in. And we want to kind of have these wrinkles here at the top just to show that everything's kind of going upward from here on up, from right about the bottom of these eyes upward. Those eyebrows are pulling all that facial muscle towards the top of the head. All right, let's go ahead and zoom out. And we may want to go ahead and just kind of flesh out everything down here just a little bit. May want to add a pocket with a pen and a pencil just to kind of play up that nerdy aspect of our avatar. Very nice. So we're pretty close. We can really continue refining this out to our liking, but I think we're pretty close. Let's go ahead and actually duplicate this layer. So I'm going over to my layers panel. I'm just right clicking and I'm going to select duplicate layer. And we'll go ahead and call this sketch shocked. And so while we're still in the sketching phase, let's go ahead and work in that additional expression for him being shocked. So we're not going to have to change everything, just some key elements on the face. And so for a shocked expression, we want this mouth area to definitely change. So we're going to go ahead and grab our eraser tool. I'm going to bring up the brush tip size just a little bit. And let's go ahead and change up this expression some. So when you're shocked, your mouth is going to drop probably. It's going to kind of have this kind of look. So we want to get like that kind of oval shape to his lips. So we're going to save this shocked sketch for later on when we add a shocked expression in a later lesson. We're going to save this sketch. And we're going to use it, again, as a roadmap or a blueprint to modify the line work that we're going to use for that particular expression. So I kind of want to have this very oval shape for his mouth. And I may want to go ahead and lasso these areas down here of the chin, just using my lasso tool. And I'll go ahead and grab my move tool up here and just kind of bring that down. So that's feeling pretty nice. And we may want to go ahead and change up these eyebrows up here. And I thought about lassoing these at first, but let's go ahead and just erase them out, or erase out part of them. And we're going to want to go ahead and change these eyebrow lines as well. Now I'm just kind of making up this shocked expression based off of our base expression that we have. Now if you have an additional reference photo that you want to work from, whether it's of yourself or if you're doing this again for a friend or a client, you may want to use those additional reference photos as a roadmap for adding additional expressions. So just kind of working in this overall shocked expression. I may want to hide the visibility of my sketch blocking layer just so I can see that a little more clearly. So at this point, I can kind of continue fleshing out the rest of this shocked expression. We've also got our base expression here that's been sketched out. And we're at a point now where we can begin adding line work. So that's what we're going to do in the next lesson, is begin adding line work and really solidifying our lines for our 2D avatar. So we'll see you then.